Good morning and happy Tuesday, traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the morning market prep video for December 17th, 2024. Well, I hope everyone had a great day yesterday, a great evening, and ready for a wild day today with the beginning of an FOMC meeting, some big data points coming our way this morning as we wait for the FOMC decision. So let's take a look at what happened overnight. First off, if we take a quick look at Asian markets mostly lower last night. Australia happened to squeak out a nice win, up 0.78%, while the Nikkei was down 0.24%, and a real concerning decline in the yen. The yen is falling hard, and there may have to be some intervention by Japan. So kind of keep an eye out for that. India was down, South Korea lower, Hong Kong was lower, Shanghai down 0.73%. So a little bit of pressure continuing to mount in those Asian markets. European markets have fluctuated. They were mostly lower early this morning. Now we've got a little bit of a mix. The DAX is only up 0.07%. The FTSE is down 0.73%, and the CAC up 0.24%, as they look forward to central bank decision over there on Thursday. So keep an eye on that. And of course, the German chancellor, no confidence vote, showing another country. We now have France and Germany showing some pretty substantial political turmoil. And then if we take a look at U.S. futures this morning, well, we're a little bit on the bearish side here today. The Dow being down 8 straight days, the longest losing streak since 2018, is gapping lower this morning. Right now, Dow futures down 168 points in a gap lower here today. We've got S&P 500 futures down $15.75 at the moment, and NASDAQ futures looking a little bit lower by $13.25 after new record highs yesterday, and really a stretch in those markets. If we take a look at oil this morning, well, oil, we've got XLE here on those oil producers, and well, doggone it, they had a rough day yesterday, really pushing lower. There's some stocks breaking down to some new lows here in that oil market, with concerns of demand problems out of both Europe and, of course, the slowing economy in China, creating some of those demand issues. Right now, if we take a look at oil, oil is down this morning. We are looking at 82 cents lower at 69.47 a barrel. We've got Brent crude lower as well by 63 cents at 73.28 a barrel. Now, natural gas, on the other hand, is trying to catch a little bit of a higher low in here. We're trying to hold this trend, but boy, oh boy, this has been a volatile market here in natural gas. So keep a close eye on it, trying to move just a little bit higher this morning, up just over 4 cents. If we take a look at cryptos this morning, well, after a huge day yesterday, they're still trying to stretch higher. Bitcoin this morning up $638 a coin, but Ether this morning is down $63 a coin, and we have a little mix in those cryptos here today. If we take a look at precious metals, well, gold had a good start yesterday and then just kind of faded. And this morning, we've got gold looking lower. Right now down $11.30 an ounce in the futures. Silver futures this morning are also lower by 27, almost 28 cents. Copper, platinum, and palladium all looking lower here this morning, so a little bit of pressure. Let's take a look at those bonds. Well, unfortunately, guys, the bonds are not helping us out here. The bond market seems to be in some pretty substantial disagreement with the market itself, and the bond market is showing the 2-year bonds at 4.28%. 10-year bonds have moved up to 4.43%, and the 30-year bonds are coming in at 4.62%. So some major concern in here about, I'm guessing, about the rates and whether or not cutting rates again is going to be a mistake. There's a new story out on CNBC saying a survey is suggesting high likelihood that the Fed will cut rates, but many are saying that might be a mistake. So kind of keep an eye on those numbers today. A little bit of volatility could come in to those as well. Let's take a look at these index charts. And remember, guys, first off, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Tuesday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thanks so much for being here. Boy, sometimes I think I do these videos every day in the process of going through, and I forget about half the time how I'm supposed to do it, so I apologize. And if you ever wanted to know whether these videos are edited, they are not. I do them in one take, live, all the way through. So thank you so much for your kind patience to this, because kind of a short period of time to get them all done and get them out so that the video is useful to everyone. Well, as you can see, 8 straight days lower here in the market. Something I was kind of warning on, that we have just been really pushed up in these indexes, and now we're getting that fade, and unfortunately we're gapping a little bit lower here this morning, showing that added pressure. And if we take a look in here, following on down, if we take we might find a little bit of price support right across here if those bears continue to hold that pressure. If that were to fail, I'm going to suggest we come down into here, and then of course down into this area of price support, catch that high here in the diamond. So be kind of careful here. Now, if the bulls were to find inspiration, and I think there's every reason to believe the bulls could find inspiration if we could get the NASDAQ to pull back, because right now the NASDAQ is so extended, it seems to be sucking all the money out of all the other indexes, and it's being centric. We're pushing it all in to just a handful of companies here as they just continue to just rise vertically in the market. Now, that being said, if the bulls find inspiration, well, first step is we need to close this gap of this morning, see if we can push up into here, and then we'll see if we can push a little bit higher, start breaking through these progressive levels back up here to test this resistance. But I got to tell you, any rally back up here, we should be looking at it as just a relief rally for the moment, because you can see this pattern right here. If we were to fail in there, well, it's pretty easy to visualize the head and shoulders top that we may be forming here on the Dow. If we take a look at the SPY, nothing wrong with this chart. Very, very bullish as tech continues to keep this lifted to the upside, despite the fact that not that many stocks are making this move possible. So still in a very, very bullish pattern. You'll notice that we've slipped past the trend here just a little bit of a shooting star type pattern in here. If we were to follow through to the downside here, and those bears have anything to say today, if we were to break this support right here, well, I think there's a chance we could come back into this level of price support. If that fails, boy, get ready, because we could have some pretty big point moves to the downside as fear comes up in the market. So watch that closely. Now, if the bulls find inspiration, and there's every reason to believe they could, if they continue to find that inspiration, well, let's see if we can stretch up here, pop that resistance in that consolidation, and have blue sky above in the SPY. If we take a look at QQQ continues to extend, and when you pull this back, we're really going into kind of a parabolic move here to the upside on the QQQ as we just stretch and stretch and stretch some of these big tech giants. And if we take a look on here, if the bulls can continue that energy, well, every reason to believe we can push right on up here and continue that extension and have more new record highs coming in the NASDAQ. However, if those bears were to come in, well, I want you to just take a look at how big a point moves could occur if we start to fall in the NASDAQ. The pain in this could be substantial if the sellers, or when the sellers start picking up, because we've stretched so far away from moving averages and so far away from trends and good support levels in the chart. The point moves could be substantial on a pullback, so be prepared. Make sure you have a plan to protect yourself and protect those profits in here if that selling does begin. And I can't tell you when it's going to begin. I'll just tell you that what goes up normally comes down, and you need to be prepared for the possibility that it could be quick and it could be substantial in the point moves if that does reverse, because we're so centric in these companies right now that I think if the selling starts, there'll be a lot of people running for the door all at once, and we could see a pretty substantial decline there. So watch that carefully. If we take a look at our Russell IWM, continuing to struggle here. It had a nice day yesterday and a pop back up, but once again, most of the money is being drawn into the tech sector. We did hold this price support in here. You can see this morning we're gapping a little bit lower on this. If those bears have any more to say, breaking that support level in here, we got a little gap right in there that could be filled. See if we can test that area of support. Past that, I think we've got an area right in here that we could test, and beyond that, I think we're probably coming back into that area of support right there in the chart, and that would be a little bit on the painful side. We might actually see the diamonds and IWM touch their 50-day moving averages here in the very near future. If we take a look at our VIX, as we were zooming in tech yesterday, well, our VIX was rallying. Our VIX saw a little bit of fear coming into it, the possible higher low coming into play here, and we pushed on up, just barely breaking that resistance right there. You'll notice in here that we're sneaking out from underneath that downtrend, and anytime we have a higher low in here, we have to worry about the possibility that that's where some real selling can pick up in the market. Of course, this is going to be data dependent going into the into some of these reports, but watch that carefully here in the market. A little bit of fear coming into the trade. If we take a look at our T20s, well, the good news here is our T2122 is we are down here in the bullish reversal zone. But remember, what is this? What is this indicator? The T2122 is the 4-week new high, new low ratio in the market. It's in the New York Stock Exchange. And we're taking the stocks that are making 4-week new highs and 4-week new lows. Well, as you can see, being so centered in just a handful of stocks in the tech sector, even with that big bullish move yesterday, we're not seeing a whole lot of love here in this. Now, this is suggesting that we are in the bullish reversal zone, that we should get that relief rally. But it's pretty hard to get a relief rally when we're only driving money into just a handful of specific stocks. So you can see we did get that little bit of a bounce in here. If we can find bullish inspiration today, my goodness, we've got a good upside opportunity for a relief rally here in the market. And perhaps with a gap down in the diamonds, that will finally catch a support, and might catch a little bit of relief in there. But I honestly believe we're going to need to see tech start to sell off and pick up in some energy to sell off to bring some of these other indexes back. Now, if the bears were to find inspiration today, as they are this morning, well, just know that we've opened up a little bit of opportunity for more downside here in T2122. If we take a look at our T2108, this is confirmation here that more stocks were moving lower yesterday than moving up, despite the fact that we had this impression that, oh my gosh, everything was zooming and booming in the market yesterday. We had the percentage of stocks holding above their 40-day moving average declining, came in at 40.45 at the close. Broke this support yesterday, and I think we're headed for this support and maybe even lower this morning. Keep an eye on that. Or T2107 also stretching lower yesterday, breaking some support. We're running about 53%. We've got some support right in here just below 52, and then keep in mind we could come into the 50% area here pretty easily with a good stretch lower, and this is the percentage of stocks holding above their 200-day. So we're fading in here as well. Majority of stocks are not feeling the love that handful of tech stocks is feeling. If we take a look at our T2101, well, our T2101 had a little bit of breadth increase yesterday, so that was nice to see that we got a little tiny bit of breadth. But one of the things that we have been lacking here substantially lately is breadth following this push to the upside on the tech sector. So you'll want to watch that carefully. We need to see something in here. What I am worried about today is we could see this expand to the upside, but it would be the bears providing that breadth into the market, and that's when things can get a little bit squirrely. So make sure you have a plan to protect yourself. If we take a look at our economic calendar here for today, well, our economic calendar, we've got a few things to be paying attention to. We've got the beginning of the FOMC meeting. We're going to get retail sales here this morning. They're expecting retail sales to show an increase. Not exactly sure how the market will deal with this. If this number were to come in hotter than these numbers, we might immediately start thinking inflation again. So watch that carefully. If it comes in less than expected, that would be pretty disappointing in the holiday season. So watch those carefully here today. After that, we've got industrial production numbers. They're expecting some increases here in those industrial production numbers. Keep an eye on that. I do worry a little bit that this could be a miss in here, and the reason is if you saw that horrible Empire State Manufacturing number yesterday, it was 31.2 last time. They were looking for a 9.1. It came in at 0.2, showing Empire State Manufacturing having a pretty big slowdown. So watch carefully how that industrial production comes out. After that, we've got business inventories. They're looking for business inventories to increase to a 0.2. And beyond that, housing market index, and they're looking for those home prices to go up. So again, a little bit on that inflationary side, so watch that carefully. Another Treasury buyback announcement, some bond announcements. We got that 20-year bond auction today that might be interesting to pay attention to, particularly because we're seeing those bond rates rise. As we look into Wednesday, planning forward, remember, mortgage apps, housing starts in permits. We've got current accounts. We've got the Atlanta Fed business inflation expectations. We've got a petroleum status number in here. And then, of course, bond auctions and the end of the day, FOMC and the FOMC press conference. So please keep in mind, after we get through this data today, it could be a little bit stale in the market as we wait for what comes on Wednesday. I wish I could say that was going to be the end of it, but then Thursday we got the GDP and jobless claims, and then we got the core PCE number that will be coming out here on Friday, and the higher CPI and higher PPI numbers likely feed into that, and we could see some increases in that core PCE as well. So watch those things closely. Let's take a look at our earnings calendar here for today. And our earnings calendar, not a whole lot in there for notables. Let's take a look. We've got HEI this morning that we'll be reporting. Keep an eye on that. And WOR, those are the only two notables I have for this morning. This afternoon, we've got CALM, Cal Marine, and boy, that thing has been zooming to the upside, so keep an eye on that one. And NEOG reporting today, and it's been zooming to the downside. So kind of an opposite trade here on those two afternoon reports. Keep an eye on those. Those are the only notables for today. We will pick up on earnings numbers tomorrow and Thursday, and then drop off pretty heavily going into the end of the week. Let's take a look at some stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, everyone, if you can do me that favor, if this is the first time you've seen the videos, make sure you click that subscribe button on YouTube, and also click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you find these videos to be useful or helpful, if you can do me that favor, click that thumbs up button, leave a brief comment. That helps the channel to continue to grow. Thank you so much for everyone who does take the time to do that. Those of you who share these videos on your social media feed, also very, very helpful. Thank you so much, everyone. I truly appreciate it. Let's take a look at some of these stocks that could be setting up. And remember, everyone, these aren't recommendations to buy or sell any security. You need to do your own due diligence. Be very, very careful in this market, realizing that we've got the potential for considerable volatility as we see substantial weakness coming out of China and all this political turmoil and weakness in Europe, creating some issues. And some pretty big currency fluctuations are beginning to occur as well. So be prepared for some volatility in this market. If we take a look, WBA, very nice looking chart here, as you can see, looking really good. WBA setting up, I had an alert on this, it popped and popped hard, and now it's resting again. Watch that carefully. This might rest right on out here to this trend, but WBA starting to come around and look like, like it wants to get moving here. And speaking about coming around from a bottom, take a look at Plug Power. Plug breaking through this downtrend in here, pushing up, now just kind of resting back on this support. Watch this trending area. Look for that next opportunity there in Plug Power to see if it can move up. And FCell in that same situation, breaking a big downtrend, trying to hold some support in here. Keep an eye on that if that can find those buyers to push that on through to the upside. Every reason to believe that that is a possibility because we've seen so much bullishness there recently. Well, when it comes to big tech, we've just got zoomies here. Tesla really stretching out. Any rest or pullback might set up an opportunity. I sure would not want to chase that here with such an extension to the upside. Going to say the same for Microsoft, stretching up. I think it needs more of a rest. I'm going to say the same for Meta. Keep an eye on that. Although it is resting a little bit more, still we have really stretched these stocks to the upside, so keep an eye on those. Google also, wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole at this point. This needs a rest, a consolidation, or a pullback. Then we can look at some opportunity there. Take a look at some different places in the market that are showing really good bullishness. Take a look at Roku. Broke through this resistance, now getting that rest in here in that chart. I don't know if it's going to have to rest all the way out to this trend after such a steep move, but if we can hold this price support, I would be watching it any time for Roku to make that move, extend on higher here, and you can see we've got some upside potential in Roku if that can get going here in the market. If we take a look at Disney, Disney still struggling along here sideways, and unfortunately had a couple of big payouts, lawsuits that they have settled. One is a defamation lawsuit against Donald Trump for millions of dollars, and then an employee lawsuit that's going to cost him $233 million. So watch that carefully here. It's interesting that you haven't heard anything about those. You got to really search to find it in the news even. But if it can hold this price support, then we might have that opportunity for that to kind of push right on higher. Take a look at DoorDash. DoorDash showing some bullishness here, trying to push to the upside. Watch that carefully. That push in here could happen at any time. I'm not a big believer in GameStop. I think this stock is just ridiculous, and I think it's going to go the way of Hollywood Video, to tell you the truth. But GameStop popping through this downtrend here, little resting pullback in here, and that might move on higher. There certainly is a meme following of that stock that could have that potential. WDay, take a look at WDay. WDay could be setting up here for that next upside move. Kind of stretched up here, now resting back a little bit. Nice bullish engulfing yesterday. Look for that potential that could push on through. Certainly has that possibility. When we take a look at Juniper, boy, Juniper has been lagging this year. Big double bottom formation in here and then stretched hard. I still think this needs a little bit of rest. That early pop right there could easily fade back, and then we might find that upside trend in here. Watch carefully for Juniper. Might be coming around to the top side. You know, I've been picking on AMD a lot, suggesting short, and that has certainly been the case here. Now that we're stretching down into this area in the chart, I would be watching for a little bit of lift maybe coming, a little bit of relief rally coming here in AMD. A person might be able to speculate here with some bull put credit spreads or something like that for a little bit of relief rally there in AMD. Really stretched to the downside at this point in time. Boy, seeing there are some patterns in here that are a little bit concerning. GLW, you can see we've made this double top up here, push down, and this is a possible lower high coming into play. And that possibility, if that breaks support, wow, that could really move. So watch that carefully in GLW for that possibility. Pan W holding in here in a nice bullish pattern. Still struggling in here to break through this resistance. If we get that selling coming in today that could push this lower, that could be a problem. But if we can get some bullishness coming in here, and I think there's reason to believe that's possible, we might stretch that right on through here on Palo Alto. So keep an eye on that. Oracle showing that short coming into play. We gapped down in this move and then rallied right back up to resistance, and now several days to the downside. So what I would suggest as we're coming in to this price support is I would watch and wait for the possible relief rally back up, and then pick up your opportunity for short on Oracle. So there's things on both sides here of the market that are showing lots of bullishness or bearishness. Starbucks got hit pretty hard yesterday in a move lower. Watch this price support in the chart. See if it can hold in there. If that fails, there's a big gap here that could be filled in Starbucks. So watch that carefully. There's a few stocks for you to pay attention to. There are a lot of others that I could go over, spend the next hour here going over stocks. But I want to wish you all a fantastic day. I want to wish you great results in your trading. Thank you so much for listening and being here today. I truly appreciate it. And just be careful. We've got a lot of volatility showing up here this morning. Could be a little bit wild. Be safe. Have a wonderful day. And I'll see you right back here bright and early Wednesday morning. Take care, everyone.